Committee meeting of the Board of Investments meeting to order. I'm going to just identify members present. Mark Berry, Chair is present. Maggie Peterson, member is present. Dwayne Iverson, member is present. Dan Trost is absent from our committee. And other board, and Porter Bennett is also absent today. But we do have a quorum with 3 members. So first of all, I'd like to ask if there's any public comment on any issues or items relative to the audit committee's responsibilities. Seeing none, I would like to request, the meetings from the last committee meeting are in your folders. I'd like to request if there's any changes or if we can have approval for those minutes.
I move we approve them.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That those committee meeting minutes are approved. The next item, if there's any executive director comments.
Yes, there is, Mr. Chairman. So in looking forward, and you'll hear some of this from Julie in the checklist review, you will have the CEM report on our fees at the October meeting. You will receive our SOC audit review at the October meeting. We'll have a couple of other reports to you that will be basically ad hoc for this fiscal year, based on some recent transactions and concerns. Julie will chat through the legislative audit and how they've started. They're on site actually this week. So if you're down at that end of the hall, don't say anything. I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
It's recorded.
They did deny our request to have an investment auditor come in and do the audit of BOI. Haven't gotten that in writing yet, but they have. LAD denied it, yes. So we'll continue to be audited by LAD. You know, the independence issues we pointed out remain, but you know, there are things we control, there are things we don't control, and it is what it is, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Okay. But relative to the audit committee, we're talking about this DEM on fees. It's going to come before the audit committee?
No, that'll be to the full
board. The full board, but the SOC audit will
SOC audit will come to you in October.
We need to be.
And that, we'll get that to you early, because it is a big lift. And then just a reminder, because it does touch on our internal controls and security, that's not a public document. That's work product. We don't need to tell the bad guys how to come get us. But we will send it to you once we have it.
Okay. All right. Okay, then, thank you, Dan. Then I'd like to have Julie go over the audit checklist and any other items that you need to apprise us of.
Yes, and I'm Julie Feldman, and a few things I want to talk about on the audit checklist today is in regards to our audit status for the Legislative Audit Division. LAD has conducted their entrance conference, during July. And that entrance conference covers fiscal year 24 and 25 audit cycle. Whipley, for the 24 SOC audit, the draft report will be presented during the October 24 audit committee meeting. Whipley has completed their walkthrough documentation and their testing. They completed that in July. Whipley has also provided the request, or BOI has provided the requested sample and testing documentation. And BOI has also provided updates to Whipley on the control section of the report. The control section is a narrative section that BOI is responsible for. There was one issue that has been found. ITSD made some changes to their security protocol for teams. And during the walkthrough and testing phases, it was discovered by Whipley that that wasn't working as it was supposed to. And so BOI has addressed that immediately upon finding that.
Julie, on that issue, can you tell us what impact that has on Board of Investments?
It was the security of Teams channels and documentation within the Teams channels. And it was the security of who had access to that. And so we have some documentation, for example, at the Board of Investments that we limit to loan staff and not all of BOI employees. And so it was not open to the general public, but it was open to more employees than we typically would have had.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And so this year we submitted almost 2,300 documents based on the sample request, and that is slightly higher than last year, and the trend has been every year that we have been going up in the documentation that we provide. The sample documents that we provided pertain to daily transactions, reconciliations, in-state loans, intercap loans, compliance work, policies, procedures, security, access, and other areas. And the last thing I wanted to mention from the checklist is that for fiscal year 24, BOI staff have completed review of the SOC reports for third-party service providers to BOI, and no deficiencies impacting BOI were noted within these reports.
Okay. And going back to that issue, did ITSD fix that issue on Teams?
We fixed the issue for
You
us.
fixed, okay, for Board of Investments, okay. Okay. Any questions of Julie on the audit checklist? Any questions of Dan on any other items relative to the audit committee?
Could I just ask, is the legislative auditors, are they the same ones from last, or how is that going?
The head legislative auditor is new to the Board of Investments. She has not had experience here at the Board of Investments. We do have one of the audit team members is the lead from last year. So that was nice to carry over that experience. And the third one on the team so far has a lot of statewide and pension experience. So they do have some experienced auditors with us also.
Our response to them in regard to their concern on investments, nothing else happened, it was just a response and that was left at that, or?
So we will get a report by the end of the week from RVK
Okay.
on the performance audit issue. So maybe to bring Representative Keenan up to speed, every year you get the poll on what performance audits would you like the LAD to perform. One of those items was on the private investments portfolio of the board and whether or not we're taking adequate risk or analyzing the risks associated with private investments, real estate, real assets. We're not afraid of the transparency of it. We just think that people that know that world should be the ones to give us the feedback as opposed to people that don't. And we also pointed out that there is an independence issue with the legislative auditor under accounting standards, as my professor in accounting could probably tell. If you have assets under management with a firm, your independence is broken. Well, every pension dollar of the staff and legislators are at the board. So there's an inherent sort of conflict, thus the request for us to be able to hire outside auditors to come in with a specialty in investments. Denied, but we took the questions and we brought them to RVK, our consultants, and said, hey, these questions have been asked, give us the feedback. If there's places that we need to improve, we're happy to improve. So RVK has done that. They met with John, all of the alternative investment teams, and we'll have that report at the end of this week. And we'll walk through that. If there's any changes we need to make from a procedure process, we'll do that internally to the staff. If there's any policy changes we need to make, we'll bring that to the board at your October meeting.
And the reason RVK is a good choice is because they're our consultant, the board's consultant. It's not, they don't work for you all, they work for us.
Mhm.
So we know we're gonna get an honest answer, hopefully.
So, yes, 2 or 3 days away.
Because our concern there was the expertise in evaluating that stuff. This would be the only place that the legislative auditor looks at. What kind of expertise do they have to make that kind of judgment versus hiring somebody that's what they do?
So,
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Any other questions? Then I am going to call the audit committee meeting closed.